Language deprivation occurs when a child is not exposed to a language he or she can acquire. In order to acquire language, children need to be engaged with accessible human language, whether it is spoken or signed. When children are not taught a language, they struggle to succeed in school and in the hearing world overall. For my project, I focused on the struggle that parents of deaf children face when choosing between teaching their child ASL or attempting to teach them to speak and lip read. ASL, which stands for American Sign Language, is what most, but not all deaf people use to communicate, and I began to wonder why some deaf people opted out of using sign. In order to understand my topic more, I wanted to point out some of the differences between ASL and spoken English, as well as provide background on ASL's structure. ASL uses one's hands and body expressions to communicate. Signs are based on 5 parameters, which include location, movement, hand shape, palm orientation, and facial expression. Besides using signs for words, ASL also has different grammatical rules and sentence structures, making it a different language from spoken English. The debate between teaching ASL or English has grown due largely to the fact that most deaf children are born to hearing adults who are unfamiliar with the deaf community and wish to teach their child spoken English or receive cochlear implants. In the past, doctors have also discouraged parents from teaching ASL based on the myth that it could hinder the child's ability to acquire spoken language. Today, deaf groups such as the one I researched in Ohio are advocating for the teaching of ASL to deaf kids and the right for these children to receive equal learning opportunities. They pointed out that the parents interviewed had been discouraged from using ASL with their daughter after a doctor questioned ASL's legitimacy as a language based on that myth. Seeing this lack of ASL education and usage among deaf children, I decided to question whether depriving a child from learning ASL would be more beneficial or harmful when attempting to acquire fluency in a second spoken language. My research examined this through 2 lenses, one in which the child is aware he or she is learning 2 languages, and one in which they are not aware. Language deprivation becomes more obvious when a child's ability to read and write are lowered. For the Ohio group, the girl interviewed was discouraged from learning ASL and ended up failing kindergarten twice due to the lack of language during her brain's development. According to Freeman and a Nile Marco Foundation video, age is very important when it comes to language acquisition. Between the ages of 0 and 5, a child's brain makes 700 neural connections every day. This reflects the findings from Humphreys when he states that, quote, children who have not acquired a first language in the early years might never be completely fluent in any language, and that the, quote, development of the cognitive activities that rely on a solid first language might be underdeveloped, such as literacy, memory organization, and number manipulation. Meyer points out that deaf children graduate with low reading and writing abilities, and that most deaf children only reach a 4th grade reading level. This can happen because they are 1. Not taught any language and therefore can't process language, or 2. They are not taught ASL and rely solely on the ability to understand spoken English. My sources talked about a relationship between literacy and phonological awareness. McQuarrie talks about this relationship and concludes that ASL proficiency benefits a child's reading skills in a second language. What this basically means is that being fluent in one language helps you become fluent in another. The solution to this problem of language deprivation among deaf children is that children be given the ability to learn ASL and communicate with others through sign rather than be deprived. People need to see ASL as a powerful language that can bring millions the ability to express themselves. American Sign Language can bring a positive light to issues seen by many deaf kids today. For example, teaching ASL as a first language from birth can increase reading and writing skills for deaf children. Additionally, face-to-face teaching can be a way to ensure deaf children learn properly and succeed in school. Freeman states that, quote, American Sign Language and spoken English should not be considered as mutually exclusive alternatives, but as potentially complementary strategies for encouraging language development in deaf children. After all my research, I came to the conclusion that depriving a child from ASL is more harmful, not just for acquiring fluency in spoken English, but other abilities as well.